The spacious conference hall aboard the space station orbiting Xan buzzed with a low murmur of dozens of intergalactic dialects. Vibrant banners of the Galactic Council hung from the metallic walls, each representing a member species and their home system. At the heart of the room, under the watchful eyes of the council members, stood a podium where the head of the council, a dignified Aviorian named Threx, addressed the assembly. Esteemed delegates, Threx's voice echoed, his feathers subtly shifting shades to reflect the gravity of his words. We gather today amid whispers of unrest that threaten the delicate balance we've maintained across galaxies. Let us not forget the importance of peace and diplomacy. At the back of the room, human delegate Alex Larson leaned over to his colleague, a grizzled veteran diplomat named Marcus, and whispered, "Sounds like they're skirting around the real issue again." Marcus, his face lined with years of navigating interstellar politics, nodded. They're probably worried about the rogue factions, especially after the rumors of their last stunt on Zeltrax. Alex's eyes narrowed as he scanned the crowd, noting several clusters of delegates whispering urgently among themselves. Do you think anyone here might be sympathetic to them? Hard to say, Marcus replied, his gaze lingering on a group of reptilian Syl diplomats. But watch Syl and his cronies. They've been too quiet lately. As the speeches continued, a figure approached Alex and Marcus. It was Joran, a member of the tech-savvy Enthran race, known for their intricate silver skin markings that glowed faintly in the hall's light. Alex, Marcus, Joran greeted them with a nod. I've noticed an unusual uptick in network access requests from the Syl sector. Anything you two might want to look into? Marcus exchanged a glance with Alex. Thanks, Joran. We might just take a closer look at that. The moment was interrupted as Threx's voice rose. And let this be a reminder to all, especially to our newest members. Never provoke a human. Their capabilities are not to be underestimated. A ripple of murmurs spread through the hall. Syl, the leader of his delegation, chuckled audibly, drawing glares from several delegates. Alex felt a flush of irritation but kept his voice low. They're testing us, Marcus. Maybe it's time we show them why that's a bad idea. Easy, kid, Marcus cautioned. We do it by the book. Let's gather more intel first. As the meeting adjourned, the delegates dispersed into smaller groups, engaging in hushed, intense discussions. Alex, Marcus, and Joran decided to use the opportunity to strengthen their alliances and gather information. Let's split up, Alex suggested. I'll stick around here and mingle. Joran, can you dive into those network anomalies? Joran nodded, his eyes lighting up with a strategic spark. On it, I'll see what their digital footprint can tell us. And I'll reconnect with some old contacts, Marcus added. See if I can unearth any whispers about Syl's plans. With a firm handshake between them, the trio set out on their respective missions. Alex stayed back, observing the dynamics in the room, ready to leverage the unique human tenacity that had made their species a force to reckon with in the galaxy. Each interaction, each shared glance held the potential for alliances or betrayals. And in the grand tapestry of galactic diplomacy, Alex was keenly aware that every thread counted. Chapter 2. An Unexpected Alliance. In the diplomatic quarters of the space station, the atmosphere was thick with the heavy sense of various alien cuisines mingling in the air. Alex Larson maneuvered through the bustling corridors, his mind replaying the council's warnings and the subtle threats that lingered like shadows among the delegates. He paused outside the doorway to the recreation module, where diplomats from various sectors gathered to unwind. It was here that he spotted Lyra, the Muriel he had briefly met during the council session. She stood alone, observing a holographic display of interstellar cartography. Approaching her, Alex cleared his throat slightly. Interesting choice of entertainment, he remarked, nodding towards the hologram. Lyra turned, her delicate features lighting up with a smile. Alex, isn't it? I find these maps fascinating. They tell stories of places most of us will never visit. True, Alex agreed, studying the holographic stars. Each star a different tale. Speaking of stories, I heard you're quite the historian. Her eyes sparkled with enthusiasm. I am. History is not just about the past. It's about understanding potential futures. Their conversation was interrupted by the arrival of Joran, who approached with a data pad in hand. Alex, can I borrow you for a moment? Of course, Alex replied, excusing himself from Lyra with a regretful smile. Away from the others, Joran's expression was grave. I've uncovered something in the SIL sector's data streams. Looks like they're planning something big. And it's not just political maneuvering. We need to be cautious then, Alex responded thoughtfully. Can we use this info to our advantage? Possibly, Joran pondered. But we'll need more concrete evidence. Maybe Lyra could help. Her empathic abilities might give us insight into the true intentions behind SIL's actions. Let's ask her, Alex suggested, leading the way back to Lyra. Upon their return, Lyra listened intently as they shared their concerns. I might be able to sense discrepancies in their emotional states during negotiations, she offered. It could indicate deception. Would you be willing to join us in a small, unofficial delegation meeting with SIL's team? Alex asked, hopeful. Lyra nodded. I believe in fostering understanding. I'll participate. With Lyra's agreement, the trio set out to arrange a discreet meeting. They chose a neutral location in one of the less frequented conference rooms. As they prepared, Marcus joined them, his presence bringing a seasoned calm. Got word that SIL's been rallying support for a closed-door session tomorrow, Marcus informed them. We need to act fast. The meeting with SIL's delegation was tense. The reptilian diplomats were slick, their words smooth, but Lyra's presence was key. Throughout the discussions, she stayed closely tuned to their emotions, her face serene yet attentive. After the SIL representatives left, the group debriefed. There's a lot of fear behind their confidence, Lyra revealed. They're hiding something big. Good work, Alex praised, feeling a surge of appreciation for her skills. We'll need to keep a close eye on them. Joran, can you continue monitoring their communications? Already on it, Joran confirmed. And I'll work the political angle, Marcus added. See if I can turn some of their allies to our side. As they wrapped up, Alex lingered behind with Lyra. Thank you for today. I'm not sure we could have managed without your insight. Lyra smiled softly. I'm glad to help. It's refreshing to work with someone who values cooperation over conflict. Alex nodded, feeling the weight of the coming days. Let's hope our efforts lead to something positive. As they parted ways, the alliances formed in the diplomatic quarters felt like the first real step towards understanding the complex web of galactic politics. Alex knew the path ahead would be fraught with challenges, but with allies like Lyra, Joran, and Marcus, he felt prepared to face whatever came next. Chapter 3: Cultural Exchange. The archives and cultural hubs on the space station were a treasure trove of knowledge and history, showcasing artifacts and stories from countless civilizations across the galaxy. Alex Larson and Lyra found themselves among these relics on a quiet station morning, seeking not only to understand each other's cultures, but also to uncover more about the political dynamics at play. As they walked through the aisles of digital tomes and ancient artifacts, they were joined by Alex's colleague, Vincent, a human anthropologist known for his work on interspecies relations. This is fascinating, Vincent remarked, gesturing towards a series of holographic reenactments of ancient Muriel ceremonies. Your people have a rich cultural heritage, Lyra. Lyra's eyes lit up with pride. Yes, these ceremonies connect us to our ancestors and to the universe. They teach us about balance and harmony, concepts we value deeply. Alex, while examining a nearby artifact, chimed in. I think humans could learn a lot from that, especially now with all the political tension around. Vincent nodded, then turned to Lyra. Do Muriels have legends about first contacts with other species? We do, Lyra replied as she led them to a section dedicated to Muriel history. Each encounter taught us new aspects of existence and diplomacy. Perhaps that's why I find myself here, trying to bridge gaps between species. Their discussion was rich with details and insights, each sharing tales from their own world. As they delved deeper, Alex's communicator buzzed. It was a message from Joran, hinting at a breakthrough in the data from the SIL sector. Looks like Joran might have something, Alex told the group, showing them the message. He's asking us to meet him in the tech lab. Lead the way, Alex, Vincent said, his tone reflecting his anticipation. In the tech lab, they found Joran surrounded by screens displaying streams of data and intercepted communications. I've been tracking SIL's movements more closely, Joran explained. There are encrypted messages that I think are key to understanding their next move. Can we decrypt them? Vincent asked, peering over Joran's shoulder. Working on it, Joran replied. But it's tough. Their encryption is complex, indicative of their cautious nature. Alex suggested, maybe there's a pattern or a cultural reference in the encryption that's specific to SIL's people. Vincent, could your knowledge of cultural patterns help here? Vincent, intrigued by the challenge, joined Joran at the console. Let's see what we can find. Cultural habits often influence technical ones. As the men worked on the encryption, Lyra observed, using her empathic skills to sense any shifts in the urgency or stress levels of her companions. You all work well together, she noted. It's clear you each bring a unique perspective. Teamwork is crucial in situations like these, Alex replied, watching the others work, especially when dealing with potential threats. After several hours, the team made a breakthrough. Vincent, identifying a recurring symbol in the encryption, linked it to a mythological figure in SIL's culture known for deception and strategy. This clue helped Joran crack the remaining encryption, revealing plans for a clandestine meeting among the rogue factions. We've got them, Joran announced, satisfaction evident in his voice. Now we know where and when they plan to meet. Excellent work, Alex praised, feeling a surge of progress. We'll need to prepare to observe this meeting. Stealth will be key. Agreed, Lyra said. Understanding their strategies could give us the upper hand. As the group coordinated their next steps, the cultural exchange that had begun in the archives had evolved into a critical operational strategy. Their collective knowledge and skills were now directed at a common goal, to maintain peace and order on the space station, proving that even in times of political tension, unity and understanding could prevail. Chapter 4: The Sabotage. The Grand Gala aboard the space station was a spectacle of lights and colors, with delegates from various planets and species gathered in their finest attire. The event was meant to be a celebration of intergalactic cooperation, but for Alex Larson and his team, it was another opportunity to observe their adversaries closely. As Alex entered the Grand Hall with Vincent and Joran, they split up to cover more ground. The room buzzed with the harmonious cacophony of alien music and multilingual conversations. Keep your eyes open and stay alert, Alex reminded them via their discreet communication devices. Anything out of ordinary, report immediately. Vincent nodded, mingling with a group of diplomats from the Outer Rim, while Joran headed towards the tech booths, showcasing the latest in interstellar communication technologies. Alex spotted Lyra across the room, her presence like a calm amidst the storm. He made his way towards her, noticing how her gentle demeanor eased the tensions of those around her. Before he could reach her, however, the lights flickered ominously, and a sharp feedback screech echoed through the speakers. Instantly, Alex's training kicked in. He scanned the room for signs of distress. Seeing none immediately, he tapped his communicator. Vincent, Joran. Status? Everything's normal here, Vincent's voice crackled back. Same here, Joran replied. But I'll check the systems. That sound wasn't planned. As the lights stabilized, Alex finally reached Lyra. Are you okay? He asked. Yes, but did you feel that? Lyra responded, her brows furrowed in concern. There's a wave of anxiety sweeping through the crowd. That's our cue to be extra vigilant, Alex said. Together, they continued to navigate through the crowd, subtly tuning into the shifts in the room's atmosphere. Meanwhile, Joran accessed a maintenance terminal discreetly tucked away behind a decorative panel. After a few moments of rapid typing, his expression darkened. Alex, we've got a problem. The main life support system has been tampered with. It's subtle but could cause a serious malfunction if not fixed soon. Understood. Where do you need us? Alex asked, alerting Vincent to converge on their location. In the engineering bay, Joran directed. I need help manually overriding the system. Alex and Lyra made their way to the engineering bay, meeting Vincent and Joran there. The bay was dimly lit and filled with the hum of massive machines and tangled wires. Joran pointed out the compromised panel. Here, someone introduced a virus into the life support algorithms. We need to isolate it and restore the original settings. Vincent, who had some engineering experience, dove into the task with Joran, their hands moving swiftly over the controls. Alex stood watch while Lyra used her abilities to sense if anyone was approaching. Almost there, Vincent muttered, his fingers flying over the holographic interface. Got it. The system should stabilize now. As the normal hum of machinery resumed, a collective sigh of relief passed through the team. Good work, everyone, Alex said. Let's head back to the gala before our absence is noted. They returned to the celebration, blending back into the crowd as if nothing had happened. Lyra stayed close to Alex, her presence reassuring. As they mingled, Alex's mind raced, piecing together who might benefit from causing a disaster at such a critical gathering. Whoever did this wanted to create panic, maybe even casualties. Alex theorized quietly to Lyra. We need to figure out who and why. Observing reactions to the incident might help, Lyra suggested. Anyone too calm or too anxious might give us a lead. Let's keep watching, Alex agreed, feeling the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. The night had brought them closer to danger, but also bonded the team more tightly together. They were not just colleagues but comrades now, united by a common goal to safeguard the fragile peace of the galaxy. Chapter 5: Close Encounters. After the gala's near catastrophe, Alex and his team were on high alert. The following morning, the engineering bay was buzzing with maintenance crews double-checking every system. Alex, Vincent, and Joran stood together near a console, reviewing the data Joran had extracted from the compromised life support system. This virus wasn't just random sabotage, Joran said. It's too sophisticated. Whoever did this knew exactly how the station systems worked. Vincent scratched his chin, his brow furrowed. Then we're looking at someone with insider knowledge. Maybe even one of the council delegates. Exactly, Joran confirmed. We've got a narrow window to figure this out before they try something else. Alex folded his arms, scanning the room. We need more information. Lyra's empathic abilities helped before. Maybe she can pick up on something from the people around us. You mean read them? Vincent asked. Could be risky. If they figure out what she's doing, then we'll keep it subtle, Alex replied. She can just be in the room, mingling, and let us know if she picks up anything unusual. I'll keep analyzing the data, Joran said. You two focus on the people. I'll ping you if I find anything new. Leaving Joran at the console, Alex and Vincent made their way to the station's communal dining area, where Lyra was meeting them. She sat at a quiet table in the corner, sipping a translucent blue drink that shimmered under the soft overhead lights. Lyra, Alex greeted her, pulling out a chair. Vincent sat across from her, and they leaned in to speak quietly. I'm assuming this isn't just a social call, Lyra said, a hint of a smile on her lips. We need your help, Alex said directly. Joran's data suggests the saboteur has inside knowledge, maybe even a council member. Can you sense anything from the people here? Lyra glanced around the room, her silvery eyes narrowing. I can try, but it's not an exact science. Emotions can be layered. It's like listening to multiple conversations at once. But I'll do what I can. Thanks, Vincent said. Anything you can pick up might point us in the right direction. As they talked, a group of delegates entered the room, including Syl and his entourage. Their presence cast a shadow over the space, drawing cautious looks from the other diners. Alex watched them carefully. That's them, Alex whispered to Lyra. The ones we've been watching. Can you sense anything off? Lyra closed her eyes briefly, focusing. After a moment, she opened them again and shook her head. There's anger, frustration, but that's not unusual. No strong sense of guilt or fear. It doesn't mean they're innocent, but I can't confirm they're involved just by their emotions. Not surprising, Vincent muttered. They're trained diplomats. They know how to keep their feelings in check. We'll need a different approach, Alex said. Let's keep watching and look for anything out of the ordinary. The three of them lingered in the dining area, casually talking while observing the delegates. Every subtle gesture, every overheard snippet of conversation was a potential clue. Vincent struck up a conversation with a group of traders, gathering intel about recent movements of goods through the station. Lyra mingled with a few council aides, her empathetic senses tuned in for hidden motives. Alex stayed by her side, offering occasional comments to keep the conversations flowing naturally. As the hours passed, they began to piece together a picture of the station's social dynamics. A pattern emerged. Certain delegates consistently met in secluded areas, always under the guise of informal gatherings. We need to get closer to one of these meetings, Alex said quietly to Vincent and Lyra once they reconvened at their table. Agreed, Vincent replied. If they think no one's watching, they might let something slip. I'll keep an ear out, Lyra said. Maybe I can pick up something useful if I'm nearby. Their plans set, the team prepared to move discreetly, blending in as just another group of station residents. As they walked towards the section of the station where these secretive gatherings were rumored to take place, Alex felt a subtle shift in the atmosphere. Something's not right, he murmured to the others. Stay sharp. The tension grew as they turned a corner, the corridor unusually quiet. Then, without warning, the lights dimmed, and a faint hum filled the air. Vincent drew his communicator. Joran, we're in corridor Delta 7. Something's happening. Before he could finish, the hum turned into a high-pitched whine. Alex reached out to steady Lyra as she stumbled, her eyes wide. It's overwhelming. Someone's projecting strong emotions, she said, her voice strained. Vincent scanned the area. This might be another trap. Alex kept his voice steady. Let's fall back and regroup. We need to figure out what's causing this. The three of them moved quickly, finding their way back to the safety of a well-lit central hallway. Whatever had triggered the strange sensation was gone, but the experience left them shaken. This isn't just politics anymore, Alex said once they were back in a secure area. They're using some kind of tech or maybe even a biological weapon to manipulate emotions. We have to figure out who's behind it before it escalates. Agreed, Lyra said. But we'll need to tread carefully. Whoever's doing this is more dangerous than we thought. Vincent nodded. We'll keep digging. Let's regroup with Joran and see what else he's uncovered. The chapter closed with the three of them heading back to their makeshift operations base, their bond as a team growing stronger with each challenge they faced together. Chapter 6. Diplomatic Tensions. The council chambers buzzed with tension as delegates filed in. The weight of recent events loomed heavy, and whispers filled the air like static before a storm. Alex Larson entered with Vincent close behind, their presence purposeful as they took their seats among the human delegation. Across the room, Syl and his entourage stood tall, their reptilian scales shimmering under the chamber's light. Lyra joined Alex moments later, her calm demeanor masking the concern she carried from the previous day's emotional wave. She leaned toward him, her voice barely audible. I can feel it in the room, Alex. The undercurrents are stronger than ever. Alex nodded. We'll have to tread carefully. If Syl's involved, he's covering his tracks well. The council leader, Threx, raised a hand for silence. His plumes shifted in colors of subdued green, signaling a formal session. Honored delegates, we convene today not only to address the gala incident, but to reinforce our commitment to peace and stability in this fragile alliance. Vincent leaned over to Alex. That's a diplomatic way of saying, we know someone's been stirring the pot. As Threx continued, Syl's gaze flicked to Alex. There was a flicker of something, contempt, perhaps, or amusement, before his expression returned to its stoic neutrality. Now, I open the floor to concerns and proposals, Threx concluded. Without missing a beat, Alex rose from his seat. Esteemed council members, as you all know, The recent sabotage incident nearly caused a catastrophic failure of the station's life support systems. My team has been investigating, and we believe that this act was not random. It was deliberate. A wave of murmurs rolled through the chamber. Sill's calm demeanor remained unchanged, though his tail flicked once, almost imperceptibly. "Do you have evidence?" one of the Xerian delegates asked, their voice sharp and inquisitive. Alex exchanged a glance with Vincent before replying. "We've identified encrypted communications that suggest a coordinated effort. While we are still gathering concrete proof, the patterns and timing align with certain individuals who had access to critical systems." Threx raised a feathered hand. "Do you wish to name these individuals? Delegate Larson?" Alex hesitated for a moment. "I would like to speak in private with the council leadership before making any formal accusations." A shadow of a smile crossed Sill's face. He stood slowly, his towering frame drawing attention. "If Delegate Larson has no concrete evidence to present, might I suggest that we focus on unity rather than unfounded speculation? Such accusations can only harm our collective efforts." Vincent muttered under his breath. "He's playing innocent." Lyra leaned in, her voice low. "He's more than that. I can sense his confidence. He believes he's untouchable." Alex responded calmly. "I'm not here to divide the council. I'm here to ensure that the safety of every delegate is preserved. If we let this incident go unanswered, we risk encouraging further actions." "Spoken like a species new to the complexities of galactic diplomacy," Sill said smoothly. "Humans have a tendency to see conspiracies where there are none." Vincent stood, his voice firm. "And some have a tendency to cover their tracks before the rest of us can find them." The chamber grew silent. All eyes turned to Threx, who remained still for a moment before speaking. "We will not allow our proceedings to devolve into baseless accusations. However, Delegate Larson's concerns merit further investigation. I propose a private review by an impartial panel." Sill inclined his head. "I trust the council's judgment." Alex nodded. "Thank you, council leader." As the session adjourned, Alex, Vincent, and Lyra stepped out into the quiet corridor. The tension that had filled the chamber still clung to them like a heavy fog. "He's good," Vincent said, referring to Sill. "Too good." "He's used to this kind of game," Lyra agreed. "But he slipped. Just for a moment I felt it. A spike of satisfaction when you hesitated, Alex. He's hiding something." Alex rubbed his temples. "Then we have to keep pushing. We'll find the evidence we need." Joran's still analyzing those communications. "Once we have something solid, we'll bring it back to the council." Vincent gave a small chuckle. "So we're sticking with the work-together approach, then?" Alex smiled faintly. "Better than going it alone. We need to show the council we can handle this without infighting. That's the only way we'll gain their trust." As they walked away from the chamber, their resolve strengthened. The tension of diplomacy was a battlefield of its own, and every word, every glance carried weight. They knew their next steps would be critical. Chapter 7: The Turning Point. The station's artificial day cycle was fading, casting long shadows across the concourse as Alex walked with Vincent and Joran. Lyra trailed close behind, her calm, observant demeanor masking the tension in her body. They were heading toward a quiet observation deck on the station's outer ring, away from prying eyes and ears. After weeks of digging, they finally had the evidence they needed. Joran had cracked the encryption on the Sill delegation's communications. Alex spoke quietly as they walked. "This will work. We have the proof. It's just a matter of presenting it the right way." Vincent frowned. "Sill won't go down without a fight. He's too entrenched. Which is why we can't rely on the council alone," Joran added. "If we release this too soon, he'll spin it against us. We have to be strategic." They reached the observation deck and stepped inside. The room was empty save for a few scattered chairs and a long viewport showing the vast expanse of space. Alex turned to Lyra. "You're sure about this? Once we confront Sill, there's no going back." She met his gaze steadily. "I've known since the beginning that standing by wasn't an option. If we don't act now, we'll be complicit." Vincent leaned on a chair back, his expression still skeptical. And what about the council? Are we bypassing them completely? No, Alex said firmly. But we need leverage. If Syl tries to discredit us, we'll have this evidence as our trump card. Joran held up his data pad. This shows their entire operation, how they accessed the station systems, who they worked with, and what their ultimate goals were. It's all here. Fine, Vincent relented, running a hand through his hair. But what's the plan? Alex stepped closer to the viewport, his reflection merging with the stars outside. We confront Syl in a neutral setting, somewhere he can't bring his usual entourage. I want him to know we have the truth before we present it to the council. Why? Vincent asked. If we have the proof, let's just hit him where it hurts. Because if we push too hard too fast, we risk making ourselves look like the aggressors, Alex explained. This way, we give him a chance to back down quietly. If he refuses, then we go public. Joran nodded slowly. It's risky, but it might be the only way to avoid a full-blown political fallout. I'll reach out to one of the neutral mediators, Lyra offered. If they're present, Syl won't be able to accuse us of an ambush. Vincent smirked. Looks like we've got our plan, then. When do we move? Alex turned back to the group, his determination clear. Tonight. We need to keep this momentum. Chapter 8. Resolution and New Beginnings. The council chamber was alive with murmurs as delegates filed in for the highly anticipated session. Alex sat alongside Vincent, Lyra, and Joran, their collective determination etched on their faces. They had spent the night preparing every piece of evidence, ensuring that their case would hold under scrutiny. Vincent leaned over, whispering, "You think Syl's going to show up?" "He'll be here," Alex replied confidently. "He knows the stakes." The chamber fell silent as Threx stepped onto the central platform, his feathers a neutral shade of pale gray. "Esteemed delegates, we gather today to address serious allegations concerning sabotage and unauthorized interference with the station's systems." Threx gestured toward the human delegation. "Delegate Larson, you may present your findings." Alex stood, adjusting his uniform and clearing his throat. "Council members, over the past few weeks, my team has uncovered evidence of a coordinated effort to undermine this station's stability. These actions include the intentional disruption of critical systems, the manipulation of resources, and clandestine communication with rogue factions." He signaled to Joran, who activated a holographic display. The evidence unfolded above the chamber, encrypted messages, diagrams of tampered systems, and records of unauthorized data transfers. As the information played out, a ripple of shock spread through the delegates. Vincent chimed in, his voice steady and measured. "What you see here is not conjecture. Each piece of evidence has been verified multiple times. The individual responsible for these actions sought to create instability, endanger lives, and erode trust among the council's members." Threx turned toward Syl's delegation. "Delegate Syl, you have been implicated in these findings. Do you have a response?" Syl rose, his movements deliberate. His gaze swept the chamber before settling on Alex. "These accusations are nothing more than an attempt to discredit me and my people. The so-called evidence presented here is circumstantial at best, designed to shift attention away from humanity's own failures." Alex met his gaze calmly. "It's not circumstantial. The data traces back to terminals in your sector. The timing of these actions corresponds directly with your known movements. If you have an explanation, now is the time to present it." Syl narrowed his eyes, but his silence spoke volumes. The room remained still as the weight of the proof settled over the assembly. Lyra, seated next to Alex, chose this moment to speak. "Council members, I've worked with Alex, Vincent, and Joran throughout this investigation. What they've brought to light isn't just technical evidence. It reflects the danger of allowing one individual's ambition to compromise the entire council's integrity." Threx's feathers flickered to a darker shade, indicating concern. "Delegate Syl, the council has heard the evidence and your response. The decision on how to proceed will be made after a formal review." With a nod, Threx adjourned the session. The delegates began to disperse, the room buzzing with quiet conversations. Vincent placed a hand on Alex's shoulder. We did what we came to do. Now it's in the council's hands. We've shown them the truth, Lyra added. That's all we could do. Joran approached, his data pad in hand. It's not the end of the road, but we've taken a big step forward. Syl won't recover from this easily. As they left the chamber together, Alex felt the tension in his chest begin to ease. For weeks, they had been pushing against shadows, unsure of who to trust or how to proceed. Now they had brought those shadows into the light. Lyra fell into step beside Alex. No matter what happens next, this changes everything. The council won't look at humans the same way again. Is that a good thing? Alex asked with a wry smile. It's not a bad thing, she replied. Sometimes change is what's needed. The group made their way toward the observation deck, where they could finally take a moment to reflect. As they stared out at the stars, Alex felt a sense of clarity. They had faced deception, danger, and doubt, but they had also found allies and forged bonds that would last beyond this mission. We'll keep at it, Alex said after a long silence. There's more to do, but we'll handle it together. Vincent raised an eyebrow. I never thought I'd say this, but working with you hasn't been the worst experience of my career. Joran laughed. High praise, coming from him. Lyra smiled softly, her gaze fixed on the stars. And it's just the beginning. There's so much more we can accomplish if we keep working together. The group stood in silence, the vastness of the galaxy stretching out before them. They had uncovered the truth, brought light to the darkness, and proven that even in the face of uncertainty, unity could prevail. Their story was far from over, but this chapter had come to a close. Together, they looked ahead to the challenges and opportunities yet to come. Hours later, in a smaller, private conference room near the station's core, the four of them waited for Syl. The room was stark, its walls a simple metallic gray. The only sound was the faint hum of the station's systems. Alex and Vincent stood side by side at the head of the table, Lyra seated to their right. Joran was stationed at a console in the corner, his fingers poised over the controls. The door slid open and Syl entered alone. His reptilian face remained impassive, but his eyes narrowed slightly as he surveyed the room. What is the meaning of this unofficial meeting? He asked, his voice a low hiss. Alex gestured toward the empty chair across the table. We thought it best to speak in private before bringing this to the council. Syl remained standing. How considerate. And what, exactly, do you think you've uncovered? Joran pressed a button on his console, and a series of holograms appeared above the table. They showed the encrypted communications Joran had decoded, records of Syl's team coordinating with rogue factions, schematics of the station systems, and plans that implicated him in the sabotage. This, Alex said simply. For a brief moment, Syl's composed mask slipped. A flicker of anger, perhaps even fear, crossed his face before he regained control. These are baseless accusations. Fabrications. They're not, Joran said from his corner. I've triple verified the data. This came directly from your encrypted files. Lyra spoke up, her voice steady but sharp. We didn't bring this to the council yet because we wanted to give you an opportunity to explain. To step back from whatever you're planning before it goes too far. Planning, Syl said, his voice rising slightly. You think you understand my motives? My actions are for the greater stability of the galaxy, something you humans clearly lack. Then why hide them? Alex asked. Why sabotage a station that serves as a hub for peace? Syl glared at him, his tail flicking once against the floor. You wouldn't understand. Your species hasn't been here long enough to see the cracks forming. Sometimes, measures must be taken. Measures that seem harsh but are ultimately necessary. Vincent crossed his arms. Sabotaging life support and endangering lives doesn't sound like stability to me. For a moment, the room fell silent. Syl's gaze moved from Vincent to Joran, then to Lyra, before finally settling on Alex. And what do you propose to do with this information? Alex stepped forward, his tone calm but firm. We'll give you a choice. Step down, admit what you've done, and help repair the damage you've caused. Or we take this directly to the council and let them decide. Syl's eyes narrowed. You think you can dictate terms to me? No, Alex replied. But the truth has a way of speaking for itself. And once the council sees this, they'll have no choice but to act. Syl's lips curled back slightly, revealing sharp teeth. For a moment it seemed he might lash out, but instead he straightened, his composure returning. You've made your point, Delegate Larson. I'll consider my options. Without another word, Syl turned and left the room, the door sliding shut behind him. Vincent let out a low whistle. Well, that went better than I expected. Lyra looked at Alex. Do you think he'll back down? Alex stared at the closed door. I don't know. But at least now he knows we're not blind to what he's doing. As they stood there, the tension in the room began to lift. For the first time, Alex felt that they might have a real chance at stopping Syl's plans without causing more chaos. They had taken a risk, and now it was up to Syl to decide his next move.